First and foremost, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm okay.
That's good.
I'm okay. I'm
good.
alive.
Yeah, it's one of those times where you're kind of thankful that you're alive right now.
For
you
sure.
know, it's just kind of sad to see everything that's going on around us.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of panic, a lot of stress,
Yeah.
a lot of worry.
And I know we're here to talk about music. Excuse me. And talk about tours and festivals and things being canceled, and just talk about the world around us right now. And I think it's kind of a good topic to talk about, and if people want to listen to it, you know, it's all going to kind of tie in with COVID-19 and kind of how that's affecting everything. But I think it's a good topic to cover, and I think a lot of people will appreciate it.
For sure. So a couple things right off the bat that are very apparent as musicians for you and I both. There's a lot of issues in regards to how this COVID-19 is affecting the music industry and events, as well as artists and fans. For example, the cancellations / postponing of EDC, Ultra, and Coachella.
Yeah, as well as like major sporting events like NBA and
NHL.
And you know, it's good to see that people are taking precautions, and I think it's very important. You know, a lot of people think, oh, you know, it's the common flu, you know, it's the same effects, it's, you know, it'll just, you know, you'll get over it. And that may be true. And there's an 80% chance that, you know, you will overcome it and you'll be good to go. But at the same time, it's minimizing that spread. You know, it's a disease that we haven't seen before, and unlike the common flu, it hasn't been around for 8 to 10 years. And I think it's important that people are paying attention and taking the necessary precautions, whether it's a company that's putting on an event, whether it's a major sporting league, whatever it is. And, you know, it is causing panic to a lot of people, but that's going to help us in the long run.
Of course. And I mean, like, especially for festivals and stuff like that, there's a lot of people congregated in one area for those events, which, I mean, it makes everyone so much more susceptible to that kind of stuff. So I can understand and I can respect the cancellation of said events. And I also understand that the fans are upset for various reasons as well.
Well, I see, the thing is, you see a lot of blogs and music news companies, and they're covering, you know, so-and-so canceled this and so-and-so canceled that, and everything's ruined this and everything's ruined that. Mm-hmm. And they leave out it's like they skip over, and they're just like any other media company. And I think that's what's scaring a lot of people, is the news, and it's the media, and it is the constant fear that they're providing the public about this disease.
They're not really...
It's not the positive, like, it's not exactly. 70,000 people have recovered, or, you know, artists they're taking a break and not doing a tour, or postponing their tour because they think, not just for themselves, for preventing themselves catching this disease, but also for everybody else that's going to attend their concert, mm-hmm. or their event, right?
The other thing too, in my opinion at least, I think would be a huge thing to think about is, despite the fact that these artists aren't going to be playing, you know, these festivals or these shows that you had anticipated, they're taking time for themselves and are likely going to be spending more time in the studio to provide more music, to possibly write an album.
Oh, totally. Like, I mean, I just saw somebody's story. He's a manager for, you know, a pretty good, pretty well-known artist. And he said, you know, in 6 months from now, can't wait to hear all the good music.
Exactly.
Or something along those lines. Don't quote me on what he said, but that was, you know, it's true. Like,
it is true.
You know, in 6 months from now, think of all the people that, you know, it's sad to not go on a tour, but it's going to give artists the opportunity to kind of work on something behind the scenes and provide something new for when they do come back on tour.
Exactly. And I think that also gives a lot of people to take the time to, I think, one of the biggest things in the modern music industry that a lot of artists and touring artists do struggle with is finding the time for themselves to take care of themselves. Because if you're playing show after show, you're constantly on the road and stuff like that, it does take its toll on you eventually.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, like you've seen like a lot of artists. There's been quite a few artists who have struggled with mental health and don't really know. Pardon me. They don't know how to deal with that type of stuff. I mean, that's kind of another conversation, but at the same time, it is good for people to sit back and kind of look at what's happening around the world and, be thankful for what they're doing. And, that they get to go play all these amazing shows. But that kind of, but a lot, the artist side of it is different from then you kind of veer into the companies and,
The business side of it.
You look at the business side of it and how, this disease, COVID-19, is affecting businesses and stocks, and school closures, and massive panic, and you see a lot of people. If you might go look and see that a lot of people have been going and buying toilet paper and purchasing things that they think are a necessity to
Lots of water.
Yeah,
Bottled water.
not even bottled water. I think
And stuff.
I think the most important thing would be to buy,
Sanitary
canned
wipes.
soups, and just the essentials for if you were to be sick, like a common flu. You're not going to need to go buy and hoard 4 things of Costco Kirkland size toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that it's taking away from other people who might actually need it.
Require it.
And it's kind of sad to see people, purchase hand sanitizer and, go buy Lysol wipes or whatever it is and hoard it and then start selling it for a bumped up price.
On like Facebook
on
Marketplace
Facebook
and
Marketplace.
Craigslist and
And
stuff,
I've
yeah.
seen a bunch of that. And you're just sitting there like, why are people doing that? Like, that's so selfish and narcissistic of them to try and profit off of something like this where, go buy one. Allow the other person to buy one.
Yeah.
It's
fair.
just things like that where you're just, But on that note, like, I'd like you to talk a little bit more about what you think business-wise and economy-wise, how this will affect the companies that run the music tours and the live events.
Well, I don't know if you noticed this, but Live Nation's stock this morning, and let me just pull it up so I can be 100% sure. Live Nation stock. I know it plummeted. I think it was 40% within the past week-ish, 15%, 13%. I'm not seeing a correct number here at the moment.
Well, I know that it dropped 1.8 billion in one day.
Yes.
Was Live Nation. And then today, I know it dropped another, I think it was $8 down from 42 to 34.
5.8 USD.
Yeah.
And like iHeart, American Express, Eventbrite, Sirius, Netflix, everything, Dow Jones, everything, even cryptocurrencies are currently down by 30 to 40% most cases. And I mean, the amount of impact that's going to have on not only artists, but the rest of the world too. Oil prices are going to be starting to fluctuate significantly, not necessarily just based on coronavirus.
You have to think there's a lot of people that, there's a lot of people in the world that invest in stocks and invest, and that's going to affect them. Like, this could be another recession.
Oh yeah, like 2007.
Yeah,
to
this
2009.
could be another. I mean, I follow politics quite a bit, but at the same time, I'm not diving deep into the recession and
We didn't really learn about that kind of shit
no,
in
it's
school either.
you go to school and you don't really learn about
Unfortunately.
what to do in a pandemic. You learn about the Spanish flu right after the World War, and you think you look in at these situations and you're like,
It'll never happen to me. That's the mindset you're in when you're going to school.
I mean, but the thing is, this is a pandemic, and pandemic is people look at pandemic as like, yes, it has panic in it's used for caution to
Sure that the proper protocols are taken.
yeah.
Make sure that people are aware of the proper procedures. I think
Yeah,
aware of the proper. That was weird.
Yeah, no,
aware of the proper procedures moving forward, because
Yeah.
obviously it's about risk prevention, right? It's about preventing the spread of it. And personally, I think Canada's done a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean we're located in Canada, and I think right now, as of right now, we have I think it's around 160 cases. And one thing I do want to say is, like, you know, a lot of massive events that are being canceled down in the States. I think it is a good thing that they're doing that, because the United States might have, I would classify them with having
Top tier,
healthcare,
for sure.
top tier physicians,
But not
top
everybody
tier,
has access to it.
yeah, exactly. No, like almost nobody in the United States has access to this healthcare system. And I don't even believe that, I'm not going to say what my views are on politics down in the United States, but the way that certain countries handle this, you take a look at how China actually contained it quite well. They did quite a good job.
They did.
Right off the bat.
They really
Italy's struggling a lot.
They are.
And you look at some of the other countries and they're doing okay. And then you look at the United States and you look at how fast it spread over the last 4 days and how many cases have popped up. How many people I know, like Washington is our next door neighbor. Washington completely shut down. I just watched the Minister of Health here in British Columbia talk about how I think it's 1%, they said 1% have been tested down in and we've done, I think she said 1,000% more people have been tested for coronavirus in British Columbia,
Really?
based off of how our healthcare system and our health ministry has gone about preventing it and taking the cautions, and just how since day one, since the first case, it was a major announcement. They were saying, okay, like, everybody, if you feel sick at all, quarantine yourself.
Exactly. And I mean, like, in regards to the feeling sick side of things, there's been many, obviously, rumors and different takes on it and different viewpoints on what it's like to have coronavirus or the symptoms of coronavirus. But I think most places in the world have set out a very basic list of the symptoms that you will have if you have coronavirus versus what people are anticipating, such as flu symptoms or hypertension or something like that.
Yeah, and I think what they've said is, for anybody who's listening to this, if you, it's common symptoms right off the bat, it takes about 5 days, I believe it is. 5 days, don't quote me on that, but I think that's accurate. 5 days for symptoms to show. And
approximately.
Yeah, and, it could, for most people, it's mild. Some people, you don't even know you had coronavirus. And it is affecting the elderly more than anything, and that's really sad.
The age of 60, 65?
Yeah, I think it was 65 plus was the age.
I remember hearing between 50 and 65 isn't as susceptible, but is still susceptible.
Yeah, and it's not saying that you're not going to get it because you're, between 20 and 40 or younger. But, there was a case today. There was I think it was a 4 or 5 year old in Toronto, and he contracted the virus. And
that ties into obviously keeping yourself healthy, keeping yourself, clean, and making sure that you are washing your hands.
I just got sent a good article. Actually, my mom sent it to me, and it's how to boost your immune system eating the right foods. So one of the things it says is go heavy on the plants, drink a lot of water.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, eat anthocyanidins, even if you can't pronounce it. So that would be like onions, and they play an essential role in protecting like tissues and cells and vital organs. And watching your sugar intake.
Sugar intake's a big one.
Sugar intake is a huge thing. Seeking out zinc, embracing herbs and spices, and being kind to your stomach in general.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you can do, and I think having a healthy immune system is a big thing. Like for me, I'm an anti-vaccinated person. I was never vaccinated growing up, and I have a really, really good immune system. I don't get sick very often at all. But when I do get sick, it hits me pretty hard.
Yeah, it's not as fun.
No.
Now, the other thing too is making sure that fluids, as you mentioned, are a huge thing, constantly flowing water through your body, because I mean, it's not your common flu. You can't just flush it out. You can't just sweat it out. You can't just lay in bed for 24 hours. Like you have to watch yourself. You have to take care of it and stuff like that. But I think, just making sure that you're feeling okay, because I know a lot of teens, and I don't want to single people out because I mean, everybody eats like garbage at one point in their life, but I know a lot of kids these days and a lot of teens these days are eating pure fucking garbage. You just pointed at me, and I know you're pointing at me for a reason, because I do eat like garbage.
I mean, I can't just blame you. I mean, like, it's sometimes it's easier to just go grab a quick meal, like, a Subway, or, grab a burger from McDonald's or whatever it is.
Yeah. Especially in a day and age where we have shit like Uber Eats.
And leading into talking about like teens and kids, and a lot of young people are like, screw this, like if I die, I die. I saw that headline.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, if I die, I die. I'm gonna go fly and travel and do whatever I want because the virus isn't killing people my age. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'll say what I want to say afterwards, and if I agree with what you're saying, I'll just say that I agree with you. But
So now that's a difficult topic, because here's the thing. So we, as I mentioned, are living in a very technologically, or I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but we're living in a very technologically advanced day and age where you have Instagram, internet influencers, you have content creators, you have people who are making a living off of doing something that they love, that they're passionate about.
Of course.
It's all through the internet, and some of those people are required to travel. Some of those people are just traveling based on, so for example, artists are traveling based on their career and playing shows and stuff like that. Content creators doing travel videos and stuff like that. Obviously, they're going to need content at some point or another, and I don't know if all of them are going to be quarantining themselves and staying within one area.
Well, that's the thing. Just to touch on what you're saying here is, certain countries are now saying like, oh, like you can't just go travel.
Yeah,
we're like,
if you do travel, you can't come back.
What just came into place here in BC was, okay, if you leave and just even go to the States, and guess what? You're quarantining yourself for 14 days when you come back. It's a non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. So that is now happening, and people are booking flights like, oh, cheap flights. Look at
me.
Only
14 days. It's only 2 weeks.
It's $200 to fly to Miami or Maui or whatever it is. Oh, look at me. Yeah. I'm cool. You know?
I mean, I get it. It's cheap.
Oh, I get it. And I get having the mindset of somebody that doesn't care as much and who is low anxiety or low stress and is like, I'm just going to live life. Mm-hmm. I get that, but you're actually also putting other people at risk.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, and that's kind of one of those thinking about yourself mindsets. Like, to an extent, yes, of course, you want to make sure that you're safe and make sure that your family and immediate friends are safe, but you also want to think about, you're getting on a plane. How many other people are going to be on that plane? Is there a couple with a kid that's traveling back from Disneyland? That's
all I can say is, like, for the last 3 weeks, I've been constantly washing my hands. I walk around with
sanitizer
Lysol wipes. I have wipes with me. I use my wipes to click the buttons on the elevator or, wipe down the car. And I'm very cautious of touching my face. And there's things you can do to prevent it. And if you follow through with those things, you probably won't get it, and you probably will be fine.
Exactly. It's like I said before, it's literally just a matter of making sure that you're taking care of yourself and others around you, because at the end of the day, it's health related. Yeah. So as long as you're staying healthy, as long as you're not making dumb decisions and going on unnecessary flights to unnecessary parts of the world just for shits and giggles, you are probably going to be fine for the most part.
And like, I want anybody who's listening to this to be like, oh, these guys are, this is bullshit, da 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 da. You know what? This is our opinion. we're just regular citizens of our country.
This
We're
doesn't
not
reflect
we're
the
not in
opinions.
the health industry. We didn't go to school. We can't tell you professionally, but we're going to tell you from
Our perspective.
perspective what to do. And being a Canadian, for when we post this, when we provide this podcast out, I don't know when we're going to post it, but when we provide this podcast, I know there's probably going to be a lot of people in the United States that are listening to it. And I just want you to know that it's different here than it is in the United States.
Well, the
right
same
now.
goes for everywhere else in the world, though. too.
Yes, but like I'm talking about our next door neighbors in North America, the precautions that Canada has taken compared to the United States.
Well, I mean, I'm not one to. Again, I'm not the kind of person to knock on another country's political system, but
Well,
Donald
I'm not
Trump,
talking about their political system.
Donald Trump, when he got up and said it's nothing to worry about.
Well, I mean,
mean-
yeah, that is it's kind of concerning because he's like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's good, everything's fine. Coronavirus, this, it's a hoax, this, that, whatever he said, I don't really care. He's not my president, but he didn't prepare. He didn't give your country the proper tools to prepare for this virus coming to the United States. He thought that it wasn't going to come to the States. And
well, I mean, you'd hope not, right? You'd hope for any country.
Well, you hope not, but
it's inevitable,
logically, that it's going to come to the country.
especially when you have such a huge trade source with those countries and stuff like that. You're importing goods, you're exporting goods. Obviously, you have residents that are multinational residents. So you have people who live back and forth between China.
I'm gonna call something on this podcast.
Uh-huh.
And I want to be the one who says it first. That I swear to God, Donald Trump has coronavirus.
I mean, he was coughing and
He was trying very, very, very hard not to cough in his statement yesterday to all of the United States.
All right, I'll let you have that. I want to also call something.
Okay, you call it.
I want to call something.
Yeah.
So remember that conversation that you and I had the other day about whether or not coronavirus is going to be a virus that's susceptible to
Heat. Yes.
I had an idea today.
Okay.
And now this is just a theory because I don't
Wait, you want to go catch coronavirus?
No,
and try it
no.
out. Go
Just take it for a test
go
run?
sit in a tanning bed.
No. Okay, so let's put it into perspective here. Coronavirus, I doubt with all of what I have in me as a human being is going to be affected by heat because it's almost summer in Australia and there's cases in Australia of coronavirus.
It is summer in Australia.
Exhibit A. I don't think that's going to have any effect at all whatsoever because, I mean, ultimately, if you think about it, like sweating out your common flu, your common cold and stuff like that, great. Maybe coronavirus just has a higher threshold.
The body temperature is increasing to try and beat off a virus. That is what a fever is.
Exactly.
Right.
But maybe coronavirus's threshold is higher, or maybe, it's one of those things where it doesn't even get affected by heat or cold.
Well, yeah, like it's not your common virus.
No, of course not.
Scientists don't have a lot on it, but it could be 18 to 24 months before we see a vaccination for this.
Yeah, definitely a year for sure. I would say at the end of the day, I mean, like, it's going to take a while, and there's already such a widespread number of cases across the world, not necessarily just within North America.
Yeah, I mean,
like Italy, Europe, and stuff
I was
like
really
that.
looking forward to watching my hockey game tonight,
Oh, cupcake.
but apparently not.
Yeah, that really sucks. That's another thing too. Like,
Okay, so the way I look at this is the NBA. I'm not 100% sure what player it was, but he contracted. I'm not a big basketball guy, but I know he contracted coronavirus, and they played the Raptors. Raptors are now in quarantine for 2 weeks. They instantly shut down all of
happenings.
all games, postponed and like to be determined. And now it was obviously a non-negotiable for the NHL to
Have to
also
follow in
do
the
that. Yes,
footsteps. Yeah.
because they also have teams that are playing in these same buildings,
Exactly.
right? So
And the other thing too is I feel like I don't really pay attention to basketball either. It's not really I don't know if it's
I think
not
basketball.
really
I think basketball is just a lot bigger down in the United States.
for sure. Just
I mean,
like hockey's
we have
bigger up in
the yeah, we have
Canada.
we have the Raptors, and obviously Raptors go and they win, and we're all into it.
Yeah.
And you watch it because you have pride in your country.
Exactly.
But no, I don't follow. I'm not even gonna lie about it. I don't even follow basketball.
I watch it when I'm at the bar, and I'm usually drinking at the time, so I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the NHL to follow, kudos to them.
It makes sense.
I
of course.
think that is for them to take those precautions is very, very good of them. And I know it's left a lot of people kind of bothered. You know, I know a lot of people thought they were going to play in empty stadiums and just continue. But as soon as a player, as a professional sports player, tests positive, it's going to be a shutdown for any league.
Exactly.
Whether it goes for MLS, MLB. You know, obviously football is done, so you don't have to worry about football. But
And you even think about it like in a more broad sense too. Tom Hanks has coronavirus. Anybody who's been working on a set with Tom Hanks for the past little while, probably gonna have to be quarantined. And then who have they interacted with within the film industry? So now the film industry is going to be set back.
Oh, totally.
And same thing for the music industry.
Yeah.
All these festivals are postponed. So it's definitely going to cause a bit of lag within the world,
Yeah,
and it's going to cause some issues moving forward. Obviously, with the
but
stock
I just
markets.
want people to know, like this is like your chances of recovery are like 80%.
Yeah, they're significantly higher.
It's
for
very
sure.
high.
Extremely high.
237 people per day die from snake bites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, you look at but because this is a virus, it's different. You can't really compare it to other things that are going on.
It's true. And like, I'm trying to see if I can find it here.
What are you looking for?
I saw a post earlier, and essentially, you know, the post was saying like, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I can't remember for sure what it said, but at the end of the day, you and I and, you know, our friends and our family members are now going to be involved in a giant piece of history here moving forward, because we're going to look back at this.
If you compare this to
it's nowhere near as
if you
big.
compare this to like swine flu, you know, swine flu infected millions of people. Now, swine flu
H1N1.
was an influenza.
It was.
So it killed the older and the younger.
And the sick.
just like and the sick. Most viruses, like this is not an influenza. This is a virus. This is like the SARS. This is like the MERS. This is an animal-based virus.
Swine flu. Whoa, clipping there. Swine flu infected nearly 61 million people in the United States.
How many, sorry?
61 million.
Yeah.
And caused 12,000 deaths. What is going on here? Caused 12,000 deaths. Worldwide, up to 575,000 people died from swine flu.
Yeah. No.
And that's a lot of people, because right now...
But you have to understand that the reason why swine flu was different than this is because this is so unknown on how to stop it.
Exactly.
And this is a mutating virus. This is something that is
constantly evolving.
Constantly evolving, constantly changing. That's why it's such a panic.
It is. And I mean, like, in comparison, obviously, COVID-19 has not taken nearly as many lives as, you know.
No, the death rate is between 1 and 3.4%.
Exactly. And even then, and that's the death rate of the people that are infected. And you think about it, and less than 1% of people of the population of the world are affected. So
it's like 0.2.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where it's like, chances are it's not going to affect you, despite the high numbers that you may be seeing in media. But at the end of the day,
What I would be more concerned about is not COVID-19. I would be more concerned about the economy. I'd be more concerned about cost of living, price of fuel. You might think, oh, fuel's down. Look at this. Fuel's cheap.
Flights are
This is
cheap.
fantastic. Everything's cheap. But no, that is actually a negative thing. When you wake up one day and fuel's dropped 20 cents,
There's an issue there.
there's big issue. And
a
it's
little
not
bit
a
of an
good it's
issue.
not a good it's not a good issue.
Yeah. And I mean, that does also tie into obviously the trade situation between North America and other countries and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
that's,
but the Saudi and Russia, that all ties back to what's going on now, because Saudi also knows, they're like, oh yeah, well look at us, like we can produce so much oil. They're like, oh yeah, we can produce way more oil than if we were to make a deal with Russia. So they said, fuck you, we're gonna do it ourselves and sell it for under $20 a barrel.
which is fucking
Oh yeah,
ridiculously
because
low.
you have companies like, you have Canada that's won't sell less than 30, and then you've got the United States, and then you've got Russia, and nobody can produce as much oil as Saudi. So now you've got Saudi, and everybody else is in a panic because they don't want to trade because Saudi has the best prices, and now our prices are going down, and that all ties back into.
And at the end of the day, like when all of this is done anyways, I personally, I have this feeling that there's going to be at least somewhat of a recession in the next coming months. Not necessarily as bad as 2007, possibly worse than 2007. But at the end of the day, this will have an effect on the economy.
I don't think. I think the recession is not going to be so much here in Canada, but I think it's
True.
going to be another great recession of the United States of America.
Depending on
And-
how they handle things moving forward. For
Well,
sure.
you have to understand that this is also election time.
Yeah, exactly.
So depending on what happens with Donald Trump, how he handles this outbreak, you now have a situation that if he lies whatsoever to the country, people who are dying, and depending on how many people get infected by this virus,
They're
would
trusting
turn
him
around.
to give them
They would
proper
turn
information.
around, and I know that there are probably a lot of Republicans out there who are borderline about to turn around and vote for Joe Biden. Not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has too much change that he's talking about. Bernie Sanders, like, change this, healthcare, this, that, da 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 da. Right? Joe Biden is very, like, straight to the point, like, let's make America how it was before.
Fair.
Let's continue off of what Obama did. Let's, I mean, I'm not huge into the politics down there, but I know he could sway Republican voters to vote Democrat.
And now, the other thing too is, like, obviously, we don't really know a whole lot of information outside of where we're located, other than what we're seeing in the media. And of course, now, I have a question for you. Do you want to topic into? You want to segue into conspiracy theory?
Oh, I'd be down.
You'd be down?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now, I read a conspiracy theory earlier. Made me laugh a little bit because a long time ago, I was very intrigued by... No, okay, I don't want to sound like that. I was very curious about biological and chemical warfare. So I did a little bit of research on it, and not a lot. Like, I didn't learn too much, but I just kind of learned, like, the different ways that people could go about doing it, the different approaches that there were, and obviously the effects that it could cause. And this is exhibit A of one of the options that I had heard about. And, people are saying, oh, it's population control. Oh, all the governments and stuff like that are in on it, or this, that, and the other thing. And
You see,
it's one of those things where at the end of the day, even if they are in on it, even if they are controlling this whole situation, which I don't think they are personally, as long as you're washing your hands and taking care of yourself, you can still fight this. You can...
See, the way I look at this is, yes, there's so many conspiracy theories out there. You could,
Too many.
there's way too many, everything from the
Same goes for
Mandela effect to parallel universes to did we originally descend from Mars to
What happens
to
in black
Earth.
holes?
Yeah, so we get back to this conspiracy theory about biological warfare, and you think about it and you're like, well, our prime minister's wife just got diagnosed with COVID-19 today.
True.
Trump looks like he has COVID-19. He has come in contact with some pretty influential people that work within government who have COVID-19. And you look at this and you could say, hey, was it China that did it? I don't know. Did they do that? Is it a biological warfare? Probably not. Did it come from a live market? Probably. Would you compare it to MERS and SARS? Probably.
See, I'm not educated enough about those specific.
It's the same strain. It comes from animals.
Okay,
MERS and SARS. SARS came from camels.
Okay.
And MERS, I believe it was some sort of animal. I think it came from bats, or it was snakes or something like that, or turtles. I'm not sure. But you have to understand that China has these live markets, right? And these live markets is because a long time ago, China couldn't provide enough food and resources for the people of China, so they allowed live animal trade to feed their people. And that is still a thing that happens today. I don't know if they banned it now or if I'm not 100% sure.
I thought I heard something about that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but that trade was implemented by China's government because people couldn't afford food, or there wasn't enough food at the time. And as stuff evolved and, they probably do have enough resources now to go buy stuff, people still turn to that live market to... And I completely disagree with the live market.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing, but I think it's very wrong.
Of course, and I mean, that obviously ties into the cultural thing, because you and I were both raised in a culture where that wasn't allowed. That wasn't okay.
Everybody. And if I grew up in China and that was my way of life, then I would be okay with that.
Okay, exactly.
Right? But you look at a lot of other countries who, we're very privileged with what's given to us.
Of course.
We have access to walk to a grocery store and buy whatever we want. Where, you go
like
to
that.
countries that don't have, whether it's a second or third world country. I'm not sure if China is a first world or a second world, but I'm pretty sure China is a first world country. But
there are areas of it that could be considered otherwise, I would say. But for sure, I think it's a first world country.
Yeah, and... See, that's the education that we don't get. Is it's like
exactly we don't learn about
we don't learn about
stuff
stuff today. But besides that, like, you can think of conspiracy theories, but at the same time, I truly believe that it's just one of those things that happens every 10, 11 years. Something happens.
True.
2009 H1N1, 2020. Like, what a way to start out a brand new decade.
Mayan calendar.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna wipe out the world.
Dude, you got.
I'm still alive.
And you take a look. It's like the Ebola epidemic. It's like, oh my gosh, we're all gonna die. Everything, the media, everything. Every time there's something like this, everybody's gonna die.
Yep.
Is everybody gonna die from this? I have no idea. Highly doubt it. But.
Me personally, I'm not too concerned, but that's also me being the kind of guy that sits in the apartment all day and does work on my laptop or my PC.
Yeah, but...
And never leaves the house.
And I'm pretty isolated myself a lot of the time. And...
I mean, you and I only ever really leave the house for work.
Yeah, but this morning I was like, I'm going to go play some stick and puck hockey. So I drove to the ice arena. I took my precautions. I went right down to my car, drove to the arena, walked in the door, used my Apple Pay on my phone, didn't even touch the thing, said thanks to the lady, walked into the arena, boom, nobody's there. I've got the full arena to myself, and I'm playing hockey by myself for 2 hours, nobody there. Perfect. Pandemic. I don't have to worry about crowded area and a bunch of people playing hockey.
That's fair.
Got in the car. But and I'm very cautious of, like, if there was like a massive arena full of people, I would have turned around and came back home.
Exactly. Like, I know there's, you mentioned it earlier, Vancouver is very well known for their 420 festival that they put on.
Yep,
April,
canceled.
April 20th every
Canceled.
year.
Sunrun.
Canceled.
Sunrun Marathon.
Sunrise canceled.
Canceled.
Um,
Sporting events canceled. Anything 250 plus people canceled, which means most nightclubs
most live show events.
done.
Yeah.
Canceled.
It's crazy. And, you know, like, obviously, there's a lot of revenue that's going to be lost for various businesses. And same thing ties into entrepreneurs and those who, like I mentioned before, content creators who have to travel for work and stuff like that. YouTubers. You know, I think people who are educated in, obviously, you know, working online or sales online, or obviously, you know, those who have content creation outlets such as YouTube or Twitch or, you know, Instagram influencers and stuff like that, musicians. I think this is going to be a time where, despite everything that's going on with live shows being canceled, despite everything going on with, obviously, the worry of, you know, traveling and going out and that kind of stuff, I think this is going to be a time where they can thrive because, you know, people are going to be isolating themselves. They're going to be tucking themselves away in their apartments. They're going to be stocking up on food, making sure that they're not putting themselves at risk, which gives content creators the opportunity to provide entertainment for those who are staying at home. You know, you go home, you watch a Twitch stream.
Well, look at us
like
right
that.
now, dude. We're deciding to stay home, and we've never made a podcast before, and
Wrong.
okay.
We've
Sorry,
tried.
we've tried, and we couldn't because we
ran out of topics.
we ran out of topics, and now we're presented with this topic that a lot of people are talking about, and we're able to sit here and have a conversation and talk about it, and allow, like, the listeners that might come in here and listen to this, if they stay and listen to the whole thing, it's like having a conversation with a regular person about it.
Exactly.
And I feel like it's content that people can kind of sit back and listen to and be like, oh, okay, like, you know, these guys are Canadian, eh?
And the other thing too is, like, this is we don't represent the views of everybody in Canada. We don't represent the views of everybody in the music industry. This is our personal, exclusively us opinion. Like, this is our views on it.
And I'm a very opinionated person. Like,
say so.
I'm a very, very opinionated person, and based off of my opinions, a lot of people could be like, oh, well, he's either conservative or liberal. And it was funny because I commented on something yesterday, and some guy commented, oh, you must be blank, and I was just sitting there like, oh, well, he got that spot on. But it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, you just want to be true to yourself, and, like, it's nice. I feel for people that are listening to this, I would be like, oh, that's kind of nice to just hear two guys just talk
Just
about
having
this,
a quick
this
chat,
topic.
skipoo.
Yeah. Why not?
And I mean, and it doesn't even necessarily have to pertain to the music industry too, because I know we did start this conversation off very strong, talking about the music industry and how it was being affected. But, like, this goes for any average business.
Well, I feel like it peeled off into more of our personal views on this situation.
Exactly. Which, I mean,
And we both work in the music industry, and we're both heavily involved, and that's, like, basically what we do day to day for our job. And, like, 90% of our life is spent around music. And
it's true.
you know, it saddens us to see, like, events like, you know, Ultra Music Festival or Coachella, and
EDC.
you know, you're probably looking at EDC and
Tomorrow.
Tomorrowland Winter was canceled. Just
Yeah.
a bunch of fantastic events and fantastic artists having to cancel, and it's sad to see, but at the same time, you're kind of glad that they're doing something to prevent it. Like
Exactly.
I said before.
Of course. And, like, I'm very... Now, this is going to go off into my personal view about music-related stuff, but I'm a very strong believer in, obviously, you know, the way that I've seen you as a musician evolve and people around me as musicians evolve. I'm a strong believer in having, obviously, a plan to move forward, something that you can work off of at least. And I think for those who don't necessarily have a plan, those artists that are just starting out now, or, you know, people who are obviously just starting to go on tour or just about to play festivals or had this huge array of shows lined up, they'll be able to take that time. And I've already mentioned this earlier, but I'm reiterating, they'll be able to take that time to obviously plan out how to take action moving forward, despite the events that are currently happening. And I think that's very important because obviously, you know, having a plan is definitely a great way to ensure at least some form of success. Not necessarily saying having a plan is going to bring you success, but it helps a lot for sure, from what I've seen, at least personally.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, you know, everybody has a different vision, and you know, people will learn from everything that's going on, and I sure as shit hope that everything that's going on now, everybody really takes a look, like governments and health officials and your everyday person takes a look at this and really realizes what they need to do in the future.
For preventative measures.
Yes,
Exactly.
because this is going to go away. This will end. It's not going to just be here
It's not
forever.
going to be the Black Plague.
No, but it will. This will come back in 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
It's inevitable. Like, it will happen. There will be another
It will
outbreak.
show itself again. It will be a different, altered version of it, I am assuming, based on what I know about viruses.
Think of how small Wuhan is.
Mm-hmm.
Think of how many people are within that space. And think of a virus that is going to outbreak. And when it does outbreak, how many people are within that vicinity and how quickly that's going to spread and how fast people are going to spread out of Wuhan like it happened. And that's how it eventually reaches over here to other countries, is because people they scatter.
It's a snowball effect.
Yes,
It's
100%.
the same for, okay, so it's the same for, all right, I'm going to pull from every stereotypical zombie movie ever. You know, you have patient zero. Patient zero gets infected and they come in contact, or if it's an airborne illness, obviously coronavirus isn't an airborne illness. It's
So that we know of.
Well, that we know of course. But, you know, it's a contact illness as far as we know right now. But, you know, whatever way it may be, contact or airborne, as soon as that second patient gets infected and they come in contact with other people, with their friends, their family, then it's going to spread, and it's going to happen tenfold the next time, so on and so forth, until you're at the point where we're at right now.
If you go back and you look at, there's a video, I believe it was Vox that posted it, VOX or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
They posted a video, and they were asking Bill Gates, what is he afraid of? And he said 4 years ago that it was this. This is what he's afraid of.
Really?
This is his biggest fear, is an outbreak, a pandemic.
It's kind of scary. Like, yeah, it's, I don't know why I paused there. Yeah, fuck yeah. It's the scariest shit in the world, because if, you know, obviously every country's working together, United Nations are working together to get this fixed. All the health.
World Health Organization
is involved.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
They're heavily involved. They call the shots.
But
like,
at the end
what
of the
did
day,
you say to me earlier? You mentioned to me, you were talking about sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about how the government, the world.
You want this conspiracy?
Yes,
theory?
yes.
Okay.
Please just say this.
Okay.
Please say this to the
So
people.
this is a post, and I'm gonna say the @ for the person who posted it as well. This was on their story. It's @C_dot78, and they posted a picture, and it says, "And just like that, the government controls all sporting events, concerts, jobs, colleges, medical facilities, whether or not you can leave your house, and has depleted resources such as toilet paper, food, and controls all travel. And you guys wonder why they develop and use viruses to scare the public. They now control you and everything about your life. See how easy it was? Mass panic, hysteria, complete control of literally the world over a virus, one that the survival rates are even extremely high. All freedom has been limited overnight, and see how easy it was."
Take a look at that. If that, just think, now we're going back to the conspiracy theory
side of things.
side of things. But think of it don't think of it as literally just remove the government created the virus. Just remove that completely.
Veto that part.
And think of how the government, everything that was just said, is accurate.
They are in control of travel. They are in control of whether
Whether
or
the
not you can
virus
leave.
is conspiracy or it was a true outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now they are. That's how
At the end of the
the snap of their fingers, they have the resources and capability of controlling everybody.
Like, I work in the education system. I don't have a job. Schools are shutting down. I work in the what's the word? Hospitality business as well. I don't have a job because nobody's staying in hotels. Nobody's hosting events in hotels. It's one of those things where, it's everybody's under such this
Distress.
this blanket of distress and panic because they're worried, oh, am I going to contract it? Even though the the recovery rates are extremely high, it's the fear that's putting these people back in their homes, not making them want to leave in their cars, not making them want to go to the grocery store, let alone go travel for their vacation. My parents have a cruise that they've been planning for the past 2 years coming up in the summertime, and they're getting fucked over by, airline companies right now because obviously, regardless of the situation, they're not going to issue refunds. The cruise lines have cut down,
there's an advisory on Government Canada that says do not go on a cruise.
Exactly, and that they're not going to go on the cruise.
Yeah.
But because they have to cancel the cruise, they're not getting compensated from their flights. They're out a couple $1,000s for plane tickets that they can't get refunded because of this. And not only that, but obviously, having investments and stuff like that, being retired, it's one of those things where it's affecting everyone, even if it's not necessarily in a health related way. So yeah, it's a fucking huge deal. Mm-hmm. It's not what? Why are you fucking smiling?
No,
there,
dude.
brother?
I'm just like I was just sitting here thinking like, wow, this is a very productive podcast.
Yeah, it is a productive podcast.
Like this is a good conversation. Like we don't sit here in our apartment and have conversations like this,
Never.
dude. I mean, I just look across the room and I'm like, how's it going, man?
Hey,
like,
buddy. And we've already been going for an hour. I hope you know that.
Oh, have we? We've already gone for
over an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, we started
Crazy.
at like 8:45 or something.
Wow. See, Jordy, it isn't that hard to pick a topic and talk about it, especially a pandemic.
It's the most immediate thing in the room that.
Well, this is something like
Hopefully not in the room.
Well, no, like I like talking about this type of stuff because number one, I like talking about politics, and politics tie into this heavily.
Of course.
And I think it's just something that people get to talk to, like listen to, and kind of just be able to ease their mind and just have some information regarding it that they might not have before from their government or, where they are situated.
Which, by the way, I'm going to make a statement right now. I cannot guarantee that everything I have said in this podcast has been 100% true.
Neither can I.
Nor do I represent, and I've already said this, but nor do I represent the views of Christian or many other people that may be listening to this podcast. It's just my personal opinion and, obviously the knowledge that I have on the topics.
Yeah, like my opinion is different than Jordy's. Like I'll be like, oh, Jordy, make sure you come home and wash your hands, man. Like, come on, like wash your hands a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck you. You touched the elevator and you came home and you ate some food. Like, oh shit, man. And where I'm like super like,
you're a germaphobe.
Man, like I'm a germaphobe.
I get it. And I'm not going to be mad at you for
no,
that.
and I'm not saying that you don't take your precautions. I probably overly sanitize. I overly take precautions.
I would say carrying around a cute little baggie of wet wipes with you everywhere is a little bit, what, man? Nothing wrong. Not judging you. It might be a little overkill, but that's, again, just my opinion.
I probably have a 0.02% chance of contracting coronavirus at this rate.
Still a chance.
There's still a chance.
But yeah.
And I don't know that. Like, who knows?
Exactly.
Like
you could touch the wrong doorknob and boom. Now you're infected.
Exactly. But, just for all those out there, like wash your hands, don't touch your face. People say don't use a mask. Personally, if you're going to use a mask, I would use a mask if you're traveling or going somewhere to avoid touching your face.
If you're going to use a mask, don't depend on the mask.
No, don't depend on the mask. Man, I just put on a mask to walk across the street to kind of see what people were going to do if they looked at me. And I got some looks.
Oh, yeah, you did.
And I was like, why am I wearing a mask? Because this isn't even going to do anything for me.
You also proceeded to fake cough like an asshole.
No, I'm going through withdrawals from vaping.
Oh, true. You did quit.
Yes.
You did quit.
And
my guy.
I'm like, oh shit, I'm coughing. Oh, yeah. Everybody clap. Clap. But yeah, no, it's other than that, I think we could probably leave it at that for the topic today and what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. And honestly, like moving forward, I think We will eventually find a cure for it. It's not going to be it's going to be 12 months to 24 months for sure. I can't see them having anything sooner.
I truly believe in the next 3-4 months, this will probably start to die down and decrease a little bit.
Well, within the media, of course it will.
Well,
They'll be on to the next thing.
I'm not talking media. I'm talking about if people really do follow through and isolate and take the precautions that are necessary. I truly believe that over the next 3-4 months, you'll start to see a decrease in everything that's going on right now, and the panic. You'll see it start to dissipate, and obviously there's probably still going to be cases, but it's probably not going to be as severe.
No, for sure.
So,
or at least it's going to be more controlled and more contained.
Yes, 100%. Because you're going to have this outbreak. You're going to have the outbreak. It's going to die down. It might pick up a little bit more, and then it's going to die down, and it's going to be like, okay, people are popping up here and there with it, and they're going to have a system. It's like, okay, just call the number, 811. That's the number here in Canada.
111 over in Europe, I think.
Yeah. Well, don't quote us on that.
Don't quote me on that. That's just what I heard earlier.
But yeah, call the number that you're provided with. Make sure you stay at home. Mm-hmm. Plenty of fluids.
Eat healthy. Don't be like me.
If you're feeling sick, grab some Tylenol, cold and flu, pop that. That'll help relieve symptoms.
The other thing too, which I'm going to use as a closing statement, is the difference. If you are sniffling and like have a runny nose, chances are you're not infected. It's irrelevant. You don't have a runny nose. It's a back of the throat tingling. It's a migraine and flu symptoms. Like, obviously.
I don't think they said migraine. I think it was dry cough.
Dry cough, yes.
Dry cough, sore throat.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And a fever.
And fever, yes.
Those are the 3 symptoms. And then if you have a more severe case, you'll have pneumonia. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That is literally it.
I believe so, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
No, those are definitely them, Jordy. I'm a germaphobe. I looked it up.
I know. But either way, it's one of those things where it's gonna show us exactly what where our technology and where our our governments
You'd
at.
think that in 2020 you'd be able to contain something like this.
You would think, just based on
you would think
how advanced we are. But
yeah.
Then you think about it realistically, we're not fucking nearly as advanced as we could be.
Well, no, think of it this way, Jordy. 9/11 happens. Mm-hmm. 2,000, 3,000 people were killed. Mm-hmm. Okay? The government spent billions of dollars to put in systems and
anti-threat systems, anti-terrorism systems
to make sure that stuff doesn't happen again. And what if billions were put into preventing and having a system that were to prevent something like this?
And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think healthcare systems are going to obviously reevaluate the systems that they currently have in place for containment and the systems that they currently have in place for like quarantinization, if that's a word, or
quarantine,
yeah. Or, obviously risk prevention in regards to people who are traveling at the airports. How are you obviously going to contain it if you're jumping from airport to airport, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I think moving forward, chances are don't stress about it every second of the day. Because like ultimately, just make sure you're healthy, make sure you're washing.
Okay, I'm gonna have my end statement and then Please we'll end it at this. Okay. Go to the store. Okay. You're gonna walk in that front door.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh. You're gonna buy one.
Just one?
12-pack of toilet paper.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Don't be greedy.
Okay.
You're gonna go and you're gonna buy 1 box of Tylenol cold and flu.
Uh-huh.
You're then going to go and buy canned soup.
Campbell's?
Canned.
Campbell's?
Sure.
Okay.
Alphagetti. Then you're going to walk over to the hydration section and you're going to buy the suggested amount of 2 liters of water per day for 2 weeks. That is what they suggest if you're going into quarantine. You're going to buy some fruits and some vegetables. Okay. And on top of that, if you can find some green smoothie additive or some essential vitamins such as vitamin C.
Mm-hmm. Orange juice.
Apple juice. Yeah. Now, don't be greedy.
Don't take 30.
No, don't take 30. And don't go resell stuff because you're narcissistic and want to make money. Okay?
I do respect the hustle, but fuck off. That ain't cool.
No. So stay safe out there, everybody.
Stay safe.
And thanks for listening to this podcast.